For those living with cerebral palsy, everything from brushing their teeth to writing a note to even tying their shoes can be an impossible struggle. Lee Bondurant, who lives with the congenital disorder, and his mother, Linda, are keenly aware of these difficulties. The two were recently celebrating Lee's birthday with dinner in Raleigh, North Carolina, when Lee began struggling to eat his food. This wasn't entirely out of the ordinary. That was when someone walked up to where they were sitting and did something that stunned everyone at the table. Living with a disability can make even the most ordinary tasks incredibly difficult. This was something that 51-year-old Lee Bondurant knew all too well. Having lived with the disease his entire life, he came to accept this unfortunate fact. Even though he chose to not let his congenital disorder define him, Lee was aware that it played a major role in his life, including at his grocery store job at Kroger's. Still, he had his good days and his bad days, and he knew better than to let it get him down. When he recently chose to spend his birthday with his mother, Linda, at the 42nd Street Oyster Bar in his hometown of Raleigh, North Carolina, he began having one of his bad days. What he couldn't have predicted was what would happen next. Since the disorder caused sufferers' hands to shake, even simply getting food into their mouths could become a difficult task. However, Lee wasn't ready to let that take him down, not even when he wanted to go skydiving. Unfortunately, Lee's birthday dinner soon transformed into a more complicated task. And even though his mother was there to help, she wasn't having the easiest time doing so while also trying to eat her own meal. That's when their waiter, a college student nicknamed Five, noticed the scene beginning to unfold at Lee's table. His reaction to it was something no one in the restaurant could have predicted. He casually came over and asked Lee if he had ever had oysters. Lee told him he had not, Linda recalled. So, Five asked if could he serve him his first. It was smooth not to embarrass Lee, just offering to share in the experience. Linda was simply taken aback by Five's abundant generosity. For a total stranger to come up really touches a mother's heart, especially when your child has special needs, she explained. Like it was nothing, the busy waiter had stopped what he was doing, grabbed a spoon, and began to help feed Lee the meal he'd been so excited to enjoy all day. It was far from any server's job description, and Lee's mother was simply stunned. Five's act of kindness certainly wasn't lost on Lee either. He was well aware that most people would have rather moved on instead of helping him out. Clearly, there was something special about this waiter. Best of all, Five handled it in a way that didn't humiliate or embarrass Lee. It was the waiter's overall sense of professionalism that most impressed the birthday boy and his mother during their big celebration. Lee was accustomed to doing things for himself, and he would normally turn down this kind of assistance. Still, Five's genuine generosity was difficult to ignore. So, how did others react when they heard about this story? When they returned home, Linda shared the image of her son and the waiter on her Facebook page. It wasn't long before people began expressing their respect for what Five had done. Even the local news media became interested. Lee was sure to let everyone know how thankful he was for Five's actions. That was the ultimate kindness he showed me, he told reporters. I really appreciate what he did, an act of kindness. Five wasn't at work when reporters arrived to the 42nd Street Oyster Bar, but his boss made it a point to mention that he was proud of his actions. We're fortunate to have somebody like him working for us, manager Ryan Tyson said. When Five, who doesn't have a social media profile, eventually learned that his photo with Lee was going viral, he couldn't believe the outpouring of support. People from all around the world were even writing him letters. Some of those people have actually offered to help Five in ways he never could have anticipated. Of course, being a modest man, he was quick to decline. I'm going into the gas station and somebody wants to buy me gas, I'm like, no, he laughed. Still, Five remained incredibly humble about what he did for Lee that day. Seafood is best eaten hot, so I didn't want her food to get cold. I didn't want his food to get cold, he said, while downplaying his act of compassion. I just wanted to help a fellow man out. Since that birthday dinner, Lee has returned to the 42nd Street Oyster Bar quite a few times to visit his new friend. Every time they saw each other, Lee had an opportunity to let his favorite waiter know just how much he meant to him. While Five didn't necessarily anticipate making a lifelong friend when he offered to help Lee eat that night, he seemed to have done just that. It just goes to show how a little kindness can really change someone's life in more ways than one. If you enjoyed this story, wait for our next story starting in 10 seconds. It goes without saying that height does not have anything to do with how good a person is. Being tall does not make you more virtuous than someone short. However, the fact of the matter is that people do have preconceived opinions about people based on their height. A woman called Liz Adams posted a photo of herself with her husband but never thought that it would spark such a big debate on Twitter. The heated debate started with a tweet sent in by a woman known as Liz Adams. It was all about dating short or tall men. The conversation started when she posted a picture of her husband, whom she calls her king, stands at no more than 5 or 165 centimeters. Liz, who is taller than him, appears to think that tall guys are not very good people. A lot of Twitter users came through and posted photos of them and their shorter partners as well. In general, people seem to agree that how tall you are does not have anything to do with your character. Adams' tweets went viral right away. They got over 190 likes and 27 retweets. However, not everyone agreed with what she said in the posts. Adams decided that it was time to clarify what she meant. She has admitted that she did not expect that the tweets would get such a big reaction. The reaction was much bigger than I'd anticipated, to be honest. Liz Adams even said during an interview, "It blew up after a couple of big accounts retweeted it, and I think it hit a nerve with a lot of people who misunderstood the intention behind it," she said. She also added that it might have to do with her comedy background. "I'm a comedian, so I speak in hyperbole a lot, but a lot of people thought I was being dead serious or trying to speak badly about tall people, which was not my intention," she explained. "I am taller than my husband, who I love very much, but was just pointing out how arbitrary height requirements are, and that discounting a potential partner based on their height could prevent you from meeting someone really special," she said in the hopes of clarifying her statements. She went on to say, "Being a good man has nothing to do with how you look." Liz also explained what she thought of men feeling insecure about their height and being too intimidated to date women taller than them. "I imagine it's because of the reaction people have when they see a taller woman with a shorter man," Liz explained. She continued by saying, "I don't think the stigma applies as much to non-hetero couples, but there's this perception that women should be with men that are larger than them, and that sort of toxic masculinity makes men feel like they have to be huge and strong to be manly, but being a good man has nothing to do with how you look." Liz did not just clarify what she said, however. No, she also had advice for other short kings who have an interest in dating taller girls. On top of that, she had something to say for the inverse as well. "My advice would be to shoot your shot," she told everyone. "Get to know the person you're interested in, establish a connection and go for it. If they're not interested, that's okay, they're not the person for you. Move on to someone who appreciates you for you, not just your optics." She also apologized for her earlier tweets. Liz did so by saying, "I just wanted to add that the only thing I regret about my original tweet is making light of a very real disease that affects a lot of people." Bored Panda, a famous website, conducted a survey. They spoke to 6 women about what they thought of tall men. In particular, they asked these ladies what height they considered tall for a man. Their answers were quite different from one another. One of the respondents said that she would consider any man 5 feet 10 inches or 178 centimeters and above tall. Another one said that she would not consider a guy tall unless he makes it past 6 feet 1 inch or 168 centimeters. A third woman said that she would not look twice at a man who is below 5 feet 11 inches or 180 centimeters tall. The fourth woman explained that since she is only 5 feet 3 inches or 160 centimeters herself, any man her height or taller would be tall for her. The next one said that she would consider any man tall if he is at least 5 feet 9 inches or 175 centimeters tall. As for the last person in the group, she said that a man must be at least 6 feet 3 inches or 190 centimeters tall to catch her eye. However, men are not the only ones who get singled out on a height basis. "I went on quite a few dates with multiple guys who were shorter. With my shoes, I was taller than all of them. They all ghosted me," said a user. There is actually a scientific reason we view tall people a certain way. It is not just women who like taller men or individuals. Apparently, even normal people share that opinion as well. For one thing, it affects who people vote for. Scientists revealed that people think differently about tall people. A lot of people automatically arrive at the assumption that tall people are physically strong. We have our evolutionary path to thank for this. Most animals also equate size and strength. This is why taller people are assumed to make strong leaders. In fact, it can even impact the results of the elections. Human beings have a tendency to think that tall individuals are more competent at what they do than they might actually be. You can think of this as an offshoot of the halo effect. American voters often vote for taller candidates too. Morgan Hoey said that she might be 2 inches taller than her husband, but she does not mind. After all, the most important thing here is to have a good and loving partner. Height does not play a role in that. Cheesy as it might sound, but it is what's on the inside that counts.